Yo, YouTube, we're back again with another video. Guys, I want to thank you for all the love, support in my recent videos that I've uploaded onto YouTube. We've been doing crazy numbers on my IG and my YouTube channel. I think we're almost at 700 subscribers on YouTube, so that's huge. I've really tried to invest in my YouTube channel this year and put out quality content and really try to like reach more people. And so I have to thank you guys for taking the time to like it, learn and comment, and it really means a lot to me. So thank you. If you guys aren't subscribed, subscribe. It helps me and it helps me grow. So thank you guys. So today I wanted to talk about something a little bit different. I don't think I've made a video on this before, and I thought it was going to be a pretty good thing to talk about, right? So I kind of wanted to get a little bit more real and open with you guys when it came to when I first started playing Apex. And so I've been playing Apex since season 0. So I've seen everything. I've seen every change. I've seen every legend. I've seen every type of player that you could play with. I've seen every good type of player, every bad type of player. I've played with pros. I've played with streamers. I've played with everybody. And you get a good perspective when you are playing with different types of people. So, just to give you a little backstory. So, I came from competitive games like Gears of War and Halo and Call of Duties back in like the early 2000s or early to mid 2000s. And I needed something that would satisfy that itch, satisfy that my competitive nature. And Fortnite came out, it was different. And I love that. I love that it was different. I love that it was unique and it wasn't just a standard shooter. That's what my play style caters to, is shooters that have a uniqueness about them that aren't just your standard like point and shoot. Um and Fortnite did that for me up until a certain point. Then Apex popped off and my friends told me to try it. I was a little bit hesitant, but I'm glad I gave it a try. And when I gave it a try, I loved it. It was different, it was unique. It had great movement. It was very difficult to aim and shoot weapons. You had to be really good with every gun. It was very, very high skill level. And for that I loved. And then when you put the team aspect in it, that created a whole different dynamic. And so I really, really, really fell in love with Apex and dedicated a lot of time to get really good. This is when, like I said, everything was new and fresh and like exciting. And I was watching the LGS in the early days, and obviously TSM at the time was like the best team in the world. That motivated me to say I want to get really, really good. And so I was on console at the time. This is when controller was not hot. Everybody was wanting to switch from controller to mouse and key because everything at that time was heavily mouse and key PC related. And so I just didn't have the money at the time to be able to go buy a PC and start. And I didn't want to get off controller at the time because I was just so used to it for so long. It wasn't until I can't remember what season it was, maybe season 2 or 3, when I sat back and I said, I want to compete in Apex, but I can't do it on console, and so I need to figure out a way to get from here to PC, and I need to switch to mouse and key because that was the dominant input at the time. And so I was able to save up and I was able to get a PC. And I told myself that I need to let go of everything and I need to fully like dive into this PC world, which means I need to give up my controller give up my controller way of thinking that I've developed for, at that point, 10 plus years, and I need to go into something new, something unknown. I'm learning a new skill. If you guys have ever switched from controller to mouse and key and then actually got good on mouse and key, you understand that it's like a steep learning curve, because you have to unwork habits, and you have to learn new ways of seeing things and possibilities that you can do on mouse and key that you couldn't do on controller. It's just a whole thing. And so I took that time, and I grinded and put so much time and effort into getting good on mouse and key. And I hit walls at times. I hit walls, and felt discouraged at times. But you know, I knew if I kept going and kept grinding and kept going and kept watching film and kept breaking down what's going on in my games, and I would eventually go over that hump, and I did. But now I said, okay, I know I belong in those masters lobbies and pred lobbies. I know I do. But I wasn't that yet. But I knew that's where I belonged, because I had the drive, I had the mindset. I felt like, and I knew that I had the work ethic to get there. I just needed a team, and I needed to get out of my own way, and to be able to get there. So today, what I wanted to talk about was what were some of the things for me that I had to overcome to be able to get to where I wanted to get to ultimately. And so the first one is going to be my perception of myself, and I had to look at my current situation at the time. So how I perceived myself during that time before I got masters, right? The thing that helped me get to masters, right? I perceived myself as somebody that was capable to be able to achieve masters or pred, but I was unsure if I really had it, right? If I really had the skill, because you don't know. If you're not playing in those lobbies, you don't know, right? You know, an in game in platinum is different than an in game in masters lobbies and pred lobbies, right? The player base is higher IQ. They don't make as many mistakes. They know how to play positions that are unconventional better than a player in platinum or or diamond 4. And so it makes the games a lot more of a thinking game versus a mechanical, duel. And so I just didn't know. I just wasn't sure. And I needed to get into those situations to really know for myself. So I had to take accountability of like, okay, well, where am I at right now? Right? Okay, what's my averaging kills when I'm feeling really good and I'm dominating? How often am I dominating? Can I make dominating my consistent play style? And what do I mean by dominating, right? I mean, can I try to average over 5 kills a game, right? You know, 10 plus kills a game, right? Can I break through my plateaus, right? If my highest damage ever is only 2K damage, I need to work on trying to be better than that, right? What do I need to do? I need to get to 3K, to 4K, to 5K. I need to really push myself past what my limits are and envision myself doing more and being better, positioning myself better. And, if I'm not doing those things, I need to be honest with myself and say, you're not. And then I need to work on doing it. And so I did. I worked on those things. I pushed myself to be able to get those 3 to 4 to 5K damage games. I pushed myself to get past 10 plus kills consistently in games. And that was me working more so on myself, right? Being able to see that like there's a possibility for you to be great. You just have to work at it, see that there's more for you. So I was able to do that. But that for me was my first step. Second thing that I didn't have at the time was my game priorities weren't the best, right? So um certain things like shooting from low to high ground, not always taking height when I could to have a better advantage in a fight. Being comfortable or being I was uncomfortable in a lot of the chaos that would happen in Apex, where, you're in a fight, your teammates go down, and you want to run away. I used to be that player where I didn't know how to stay in something because it was uncomfortable, right? It was what would I do, right? It's me, just me, right? What do I do? You know what I mean? And so I had to learn. I had to learn how to position myself better, right? A lot of mistakes a lot of players make at a lower level. They like to see a target up top, stay down low instead of trying to figure out how to get to where they are from low ground to get to them to get to a better position to fight. Being able to see the game the right way and really understand that really decisions, the right decisions, is what matters at the higher levels. It's not so much about who can get the most damage, who can get the most kills. It's about, can you make the right decision more times than not? And so I had to figure that out. And you figure that out by, watching film, right? I had to really be honest about when I'm watching my own film. Like, yeah, you should have went here, but you didn't. Next time when you're in that position, now you know that's a spot you can go to. Remembering those things and applying them. And, identifying them and then going back and playing, right? Don't just identify them and then don't play, right? Identify them, get right back in there. Number three, and this one is a big one for a lot of players that I've played with, and myself included at a certain time throughout my 28 seasons of playing Apex, is viewing Masters and Pred players as someone different, which makes trying to get there feel like it's unattainable. That one is probably the biggest flaw in a lot of players. Um, a lot of players think that Masters and Pred, because especially early on in Apex, AOGS was hot, and so all the pro players at the time were, you felt like they were the only ones that could hit Masters and Pred, and it just felt like this godlike rank that only the best of the best could get. And when you think that way, you think highly of them, but you think so little of yourself. But you don't understand that there's nothing different about them and you. The only difference is they believe that they can do it. You don't. That was me at a certain point. I didn't believe that I could be as good as certain people. Um, but once I realized that all it took was hard work, it might take me longer than them, but I can do it. I need to start identifying where my weaknesses are and then attacking my weaknesses and making a actual plan on how to get better, not just get on and try to just wing it, but make an actual plan. Like I'm writing notes in here. I would write notes down of, okay, this is what I need to do today. This is what I need to do Tuesday. This is what I need to do Wednesday, and so forth, and would stick to it. Over time, having a plan that you stick to, eventually you see results. And so it created a lot of um, results, and it diminished a lot of stress. And so for me, that was great. But not thinking that masters and Pred players are something different than yourself. It's more so about believing that you are that before you get there. And I had to believe that I was that type of player before I got there. Certain things helped me, help with my belief. Being able to get those 3 to 4 or 5K damage games, that helped. Being able to consistently drop 10 plus kills, that helped. Being able to, win an end game when my teammates are dead, and that helped. Like, but that all came from work, hard work. That all came from film study. That came from practicing my aim and my mechanics for hours. That came from my aim labs training, right? That came from, being honest about where I am and not lying to myself, right? Once you do those things, the gap between masters and Pred and where you are becomes so much smaller. And but that one's a huge one that holds a lot of players back. I've played with guys who have seen that I've been in the Masters, have Masters ranks. They'll come to me and be like, "Hey, man, we had a great game. I would love to try to get Masters. You know, I've never gotten it, and I'll do whatever it takes." And every time they say that, I always say, "Slow down. We will see," because they don't understand that it takes a lot of hard work, especially if you have a lot of bad habits. And so, what I do first when I play with guys who want to get Masters who've never gotten it is I identify what their bad habits are first. And if the list is really long, we got a long way to go. If the list is medium to short, we could, depending on how hard you want to work, we could get that down to a good size and start to make some things try to happen. But if the list is long and you say, okay, well, here, you say you want this, you say you want this. This is what you have that you need to work on. Here is how you do it. Then you realize a lot of guys don't want it. And because the work that it takes to get there is very, very difficult and it's a lot. And if you're not in it up here and in your heart, you're not going to do it. And so it continues to feel unattainable. Not because you can't do it, it's because you the work is daunting. So belief in yourself and putting in the work gets you there. Lastly, blaming everyone else and the situation other than myself. So I think every Apex player kind of deals with this, but in Apex, there's a lot of variables that can play into why you lost a fight or why you lost a match. And it's very, very easy to look at those things other than yourself. One of the main switches that I had to make was I blamed myself for every situation. And whether it was my fault or not, I was like, well, how can I be better? How can I be in a better position? How can I hit more shots? How can I, you know, whatever, right? Choose the right loadout, or how can I, win that 1v2 next time so my teammates don't have to, like stuff like that. Or if I die in a 1v1, I don't say, fuck man, I didn't have any nades, or he just played it better than me. Like it's like no, like I should have slowed down. I should have reloaded. I could have took my time here. And see, going back and being able to watch your film, slowing your film down, you see a lot of mistakes. That's another tip. When you go watch yourself, even if you don't stream, just have OBS and just record your games. Um, Even if you don't like stream, slowing your film down and watching yourself back is a very telling thing. Don't just watch yourself, but slow yourself down. And you'll see you could have reloaded when you thought you needed to push. You could have pushed when you thought you were going to get pushed, but you didn't. You could have took height, but you wasted too much time on low ground staring up at height, and like there's so many things you notice. There's, oh, I didn't see a guy over there and he came out of nowhere. It's like, no, you did see him. You just didn't pay attention. Oh, I didn't know we had two guys down. You did know, but you didn't look at your kill feed because you had tunnel vision. You notice a lot of things. And so to me, taking your ego out of it and your pride and saying, yeah, I need to be better. To me, that's what makes the game exciting, right? Knowing that I have things that I can get better at. And I don't look at them as I'm incomplete or I'm a failure. I don't talk to myself that way. I look at it as these are more things for me to continue to work on because I'm not a finished product. And so if I'm not a finished product, then I'll always have something to work on in the game. And if I do, the game will always be fun and exciting for me to play. That's what keeps me playing. So these are some things, like I said, that I struggled with in the beginning. And I was able to identify and overcome those things. And so if you guys have anything that you guys are struggling with, identify them, write them down like this, see them, accept them, and put in the work to try to fix them. And like I said, you don't feel like you can't get to those levels. Like, you can. Trust me. You just need the right team around you, the right group of guys that are positive and they want to go in that same direction. And if you guys can keep the main thing, which is winning and getting to Masters or Pred, then you'll do it. You'll get there. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for the support, man. I'm out. Peace.